Hello and welcome back to About Crypto, where we talk to crypto people about what they are working on and how they got involved in the cryptocurrency space. And we have a cool friend of mine, Jason Yanowitz with Blockworks Group. How's it going, Jason?
Good. Thanks for having me, Cody.
Yeah, man, of course. So I guess we'll start out. How did you get into crypto?
2015, was living in Budapest, Hungary, actually, and I was hanging out with these Hungarian guys, and it's funny, their parents had lived in like communist, not Russia, but kind of the Soviet bloc, right, of Eastern Europe in the 50s and 60s, and so they were like, their parents, I mean, they'd grown up in this like era of being scared, right? And their parents had taught them like, all right, if you go on the subway, you go on the public tram, don't talk, don't look around because there are video cameras and there are microphones around. So, they grew up in a very different space than we did in the U.S. And so they found Bitcoin pretty early. I met those guys in 2015. They filled me in on what was going on with Bitcoin. They loved it because it was self-sovereign money. And started looking into it then, got a little bit, moved to the city in 2016, worked at a venture capital firm, and then started kind of going down the rabbit hole from there.
Nice, man. That's
Yeah.
definitely a good way to get into it. And you're with Blockworks Group. What does Blockworks Group do?
We are a media company that helps explain institutional topics in an easy to understand way. We launched 2 years ago, May of 2018, helping institutional investors understand the crypto space. We launched as an events business. We then added on a podcast. If folks are listening, they know Anthony Pompliano. That was our first show, Off the Chain, which later rebranded to the Pomp Podcast. But since over the last 2 years, we've grown from really an events business that helps investors understand crypto to a full-scale media company that really helps everybody actually understand these complex institutional topics. Like, what does it really mean that the Fed is pumping $3 trillion into the market? We try to break that down for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great company, and I've seen you guys grow substantially over the last few years. So good on you guys.
Thanks, man.
What's one thing you wish you knew before you started in crypto?
I'm actually happy that I was a history major. I think the thing I would have liked to know is that I spent way too much time on enterprise blockchain. I thought enterprise blockchain was the future. I think this was 2016. This is when all the big Fortune 500s were POCing different blockchain use cases. But no, I think I'm kind of happy I didn't know too much about how finance worked and how even our economics worked or anything like that. Right? I studied history and economics and then worked in finance, but like at the end of the day, I didn't really understand any of those things. Not that I do now, but I'm kind of happy I came in with such an open mind, and like by open mind, I mean really knowing nothing about how the world worked. And so I think, I didn't really know too much, and I don't really wish I did know anything. So,
What are some resources that helped you along the way?
Podcasts. So Laura Shin's podcast. I would literally sit with my co-founder Mike Ippolito in 2017, and we would it sounds super goofy, but we would like play Laura Shin's podcast and we'd listen for 10 minutes and then we'd pause it and we'd talk and we'd say, did you get that? He'd say, man, I got no idea what they're talking about. I'd say, great, that makes two of us, let's research it. So then we'd listen to a 10-minute segment. They'd talk about like zero knowledge proofs. We'd go research zero knowledge proofs for 2 hours, try to understand it. Not that we could ever do that. And then we'd pull back, we'd listen to the next 10 minutes. They'd be talking about custody. We're like, all right, you know what a custodian is? He's like, oh, I got no idea. We're like, all right, let's go figure it out. So that's, I'd say podcasts were by far the best resource. Crypto Twitter obviously was great, but yeah, podcasts, they served as such a great resource for us. And that's why we ended up launching. I mean, we've 19 different podcasts now. So.
Yeah, that's incredible. And they cover the whole spectrum of crypto, from finance to regulation to devs to pretty much everything, which is super interesting.
Exactly.
So another question, do you think podcasts are an easy way to get involved and learn about crypto? Obviously that's how you started. So.
I think they're the best way. I really do. Podcasts make crypto accessible. you can really get into the weeds of like, where do I start? And you can often fall down like the rabbit hole of like Reddit threads or even Twitter. But you got to zoom out and remember what it was like the first month you got into the space. And I think you can write really eloquently about crypto, but when you actually just have a conversation with someone, it starts to not get dumbed down, but like you can speak to a layman on podcasts, and I think that's where they become helpful.
So my next question is, what does Bitcoin mean to you?
Um, it's just a way to opt out of the system. It's a way to opt out of all the fuckery that is going on in the world right now.
For sure, man. And I just want to say thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate it. And where can people find you?
Yeah, man. Our website is Blockworks Group. If you just Google Blockworks Group, if you want to get in touch with me, Twitter is probably the best. Just at Jason Yanowitz. LinkedIn, add me on LinkedIn. Email me. But yeah, my DMs are open, so I'd love to chat.
Sweet. Thanks again, man. And you're a wealth of knowledge to my audience, and everybody have a good day.
Thanks, Cody.